start now. Hello. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. A very warm welcome to Radio Sophia. Today, we have a PhD scholar from University of Hyderabad, who I'm very excited to introduce to all of you because I've seen him on campus being very active as a scholar as well as especially as an activist. So he is none other than Sannaki Munna. I'll give you a brief introduction about the speaker and then we'll proceed to the talk. So Munna is currently a PhD scholar in the University of Hyderabad, and he has been working on orphan rights and other issues in his MPhil thesis as well as in his PhD thesis. So before that, he has a 5-year post-graduation degree in humanities majoring in literature. And after that, his MPhil degree is obtained from Social Exclusion Department. And the title of this MPhil thesis is Interrogating the Issues and Challenges of Orphans, a case study in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh. And building upon this thesis, he has also he has continued in the same department for his PhD, where his first draft is titled Categorization of Orphan Children, Problems and Prospects, a case study in the Hyderabad city of India. So, and his thesis basically explores the dynamics of identity and experiences of orphan children in India. And he has also presented a lot of papers in the international conferences and the national conferences. And his work is not only based on orphan rights, he's also been engaging with caste as a very important issue. And one of his papers, Between Isolation and Autonomy, a study of the anti-caste struggle in University of Hyderabad, has been presented at the international conference in the Oxford University, which is also later published in Contemporary Voice of Dalit. And he has also another interesting paper titled Orphan Identity and Religion and History, Emergence of Ambedkar Students Association. And his upcoming works include Who is an Orphan, Where do Orphan Children Belong to, and Women Orphans as a Vulnerable Population, a Study of India. So this is briefly about his work, and he has many more conferences. And one thing that needs to be mentioned is he's been very politically active in University of Hyderabad in downtrodden politics from his undergraduation period onwards. And it's my privilege to introduce him. So I would like to ask Munna to introduce himself briefly about his experiences in the orphanage and then proceed with the talk.
Yeah. Thank you, Kranti. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So, hi to everyone. I'm Sannaki Munna, an orphan right activist and anti-caste activist. And I'm also running an orphanage where I grown up. So, personally, I was abandoned in the, like, when I was 1 year child. Now I grown up there. I'm supporting that same orphanage and working on the orphan issues, seeing my life, my own life, and understanding the other orphan children's life. So I'm trying to do a justice for the orphanhood who are suffering, not like me, but worse than me. But it's my privilege that I'm working for the same community where I belong to. And today I'm presenting a small topic of my PhD research, and adding to it, I'm also sharing here my personal experiences being a complete orphan from social exclusion perspective. So the today's topic is Indian orphan children and exclusion. Can you share that PPT? Go to second slide. Yeah. Okay. First one, background of the study. Kranti? the background of the study. Yeah. So the background of the study is, according to the United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child, people below 18 years are called children. In any human society, children need care and protection from their birth. In the absence of it, children can grow psychologically and mentally disturbed. Such kind of children will not fit and be welcomed in any social setting. These children's lives end with social problems such as drug peddling, child labor, pickpocketing, mugging, human trafficking, and other criminal activities. Next slide. So, introduction. As a part of Save, Care, and Protection of Children, orphan children are studied in the present research. The word orphan is not new or will not be the word to neglect. It is an independent subject and synonym of many other social evils in society. The present research is trying to understand the orphan children issues and their challenges of different categorical understanding. This needs to be in the discipline beyond the institutional setup of public and private institutional care. Orphan children are just limited as no mother, no father, or no parent, no parents. In times of globalization and modernization, there is a need of broadening the different aspects of orphan life. Next one. Historical understanding of orphan care. The care and protection of humanity began in the 14th century within Christianity. Orphanotophia was for care and support in general of its initial stage. Later, the care and protection are understood for the children who are in need of care and protection. It was the Jewish law that initiated care and protection for widows in the initial and later the orphan children. Plato Law 927 established the need for care and protection for children who are with no care, no identities, and no support. Next one. Historical understanding of orphan care in India. India had formal organization in its inception. The idea of social and voluntary organizations presented in ancient India as dana means giving and seva means serving. The idea of volunteering is updated in the medieval era in concern with care and protection of psychosocial in connection with culture, political, and social awareness. In the modern era, care and protection shifted to direct economic benefits. Sahu's works established the need for economic benefits by defining the welfare and equality for the justice of the needy as the main approach. Next. Yeah. What is an orphanage, orphan home, or childcare institution? We all are aware of what it is. But apart from the care and protection of children in India, public and government institutions trying to understand the entitlements of orphan children. How and why do children have to depend their lives on just institutional care and protection till the age of 18 years? So, the present study proposes the idea of understanding their stages, definitions, and rights. All this includes or connected with the categorical study of orphan children in the social network. The next one. Orphan children need special attention. When these children are neglected or systematically excluded from their social and rightful entitlements, these children obviously need an attention. The problem resolving of children who are not properly understood, not properly included, or not properly studied on their legal entitlements, such as names, parent names, address, date of birth, nationality, caste, religion, and other identities. The next one. Yeah. Second list. The next one. Once again, sorry. Can you go to who are these children in need of care and protection? The 7th slide. Yeah. Even today, we get to see children at traffic junctions, on streets, on bus stations and railway stations, under bridge, hazardous places, and many other public places. These children are not given or provided care and protection within and outside families. They are leading a life without any direction just because they are not categorically understood or defined in the judicial system. You can go to 9th one. Yeah, where do they come from? So these children hold no responsibility for their helplessness or condition. These children are not just coming from one community or one place. They come from irrespective of region, color, caste, religion, and different identities. Due to social order, orphan children are marginalized and systematically excluded from the mainstream in all subjects. Orphan children issue is not a temporary one. It will remain until the last person exists from the society. For this very reason, orphan children need hope and aspiration to survive. The next one. Orphans in India. Yeah. According to JJ Act 2005, a child who falls under the age of 18 years and they are treated and granted their nationality only after they attain 18 years to adjust to the social life on their own. In India, out of 472 million children population, there are 4% of orphan children exist in India. And UNICEF provides that India has 29.6 million orphan children in India. According to the Childline Indian Foundation, under the Ministry of Women and Child Development, found that there are 30 million children in need of care and protection in India. This unclear data, this unclear orphan population aggravates the present research to focus on identifying children who comes under in what and where. Next one. Theoretical approach to struggle of orphans in India. Jodhkar's work on community and identity explains that exclusion starts from caste and culture, which determines the people of India. Thoreau's works on Dalits in India, A Search for a Common Destiny, highlights the upper caste purity, excluding the groups in India. Thoreau's another work on economic exclusion and poverty linkage says that the exclusion of individual and groups are traced out when they are not fully included in society. Silver's works takes a lead into social exclusion and inclusion discipline, that the social exclusion is a multidimensional and the rupture of social bond. Bradshaw and Finch and Amartya Sen say that the poverty and the social discrimination are closely connected. The next one. Shepard, in his social work and social exclusion, the idea of practice highlights that various groups in India are systematically excluded from full social participation. Further, Levitas in his work defines and measures social exclusion is a dynamic process of restriction from social and economical, political and cultural systems. Above all, Ingol explains that the caste identity is a major factor in the social exclusion and deprivation, keeping orphan children as socially disadvantaged and discriminated against to multiple social evils. The Dehan brings the social exclusion discipline as a multidimensional phenomena for all kind of deprivation. Major children acts in India. So we know all these acts. So all these acts, constitutional safeguards itself is neglected when we see the years of the acts came into force. Considering acts from 1850 to 2021, there is nothing mentioned about orphan welfare in particular. The namesake mentioning or adding will not help orphans to have hope and aspirations for living. Mentioning one or two lines in any act or policy will not justify the care and protection of orphan children, especially in India. The perceptions of general policies are considered to be orphan laws or orphan rights in India. If civil society or governments are serious or concerned about orphan children's lives, they need to focus on special and separate laws and rights for the satisfaction of social caste order or culture base. No orphan can be denied their rightful entities. The next one. The Geneva Justice Act. JJ Act is considered to be an important act to deal with the welfare of orphan children who are in need of care and protection in current India. But the same act is not clearing the orphanhood and the social implications that orphans face. The social prejudice and the identities that children are forced to experience before and after the adoption are unimaginable. Since orphan children are scattered and caged, the political and social institutions have been pushing them to corner to maintain the upper caste order in India. And the JJ Act is mostly focused on children who are in need of care and protection. At the same time, it is also focusing on adoptions. So children who don't have parents and care in the name of care, they are giving adoptions. So these adoptions also have very problematic process and the unimaginable, troubles to the children who are living with the foster care. The next one. So who can answer this? That I guess being a social human beings, we have to answer. So when I was in field, these are the questions posed by different people. And when I was working with the Telangana orphanages, we all came together and we fought for our orphan act. So there I got some questions. So let's see. Orphans are like a plant without root. So without a root, we cannot assure the life of plants. They need proper acknowledgement and understanding when these children are suffering with multiple identities and associations throughout their life. Can we assure them that the government is their parent? No, because their entitlements are not clear in any of the above discussed act. Is Indian Constitution equipped to provide a date of birth to children who don't have it? The fact is, there are non-orphans who are still looking for their date of birth in India. Let's think out of our prejudice box. Why does a child need to be acknowledged when both the parents do not exist? A child may have property or any belonging to their parents. Does it count as a child forced to accept all these discriminatory identities? Another way, what about the children who don't have any property or identity? Let's not think that that is their karma. It is our failure that we are misunderstood and rigid to our privileges. Is it possible for any citizen without an Aadhaar card or voter ID can get nationality? No. But a children who is just adjusted and struggling with their own names and parent names to get any citizenship. A child who is having a hell lot of documental issues. Is it possible for them to own any nationality? Is it? It is difficult for for sure. An orphan who lost parents doesn't have anyone. How they are fixed or forced to have religion and caste identities. If they are born in privileged communities, they will have their own nexus to deal with it. But what crime the other children have done for not getting the same privileges when the condition is the same? Is it not what caste and religion plays their own role in ruining of orphans' life? An orphan who is identified as exclusionary faith and community, their lives is furthermore discriminated against because of orphanhood and identity. An orphan who is guaranteed a shelter for 18 years according to children in need of care and protection. But how about orphan who has no information of his next address proof? How and where they can go prove themselves to look for life to survive? For any job or career opportunity, one has to prove their address. What about a person whose address is not known? Until unless resolves all these problems, an orphan child or person will not just suffer for basic needs, but also after child life. For example, to pursue higher education, one has to give required documents of caste, income, residency, Aadhaar card, bank account, and many other. It is hard to get a place to stay, get a job, get married, to be loved, and to be trusted due to his past journey and present condition. That means not identifying an orphan as a special category in India is creating furthermore discrimination and risk to the orphan kids. Next one. Summing up, to bring any comprehensive data, definition, or entitlements, or acts, or rights, or welfare, orphan children need to be studied on different categorical bases of orphans' life, which India is reluctant to do it till now. If this unwillingness continues, the hope and aspirations of 4% of orphan children in India will be vanished and continues. Instead, Indian government has to conduct the census on orphan children instead of relying on NGOs data nationally and internationally. Academia needs to encourage orphan children categorical and identity studies. Civil society need to think about creating hope and aspiration for orphan children beyond having parents and family. Children care homes must answer to their identities before any orphan leaves from institutional care and support. Legal experts need to investigate, define, and understand properly orphans in India. Governments and non-governments need to acknowledge the orphan children must provide possible welfare in creating their own career, such as jobs, lands, house, family, and community. Socially and culturally, everyone has to welcome orphans having the advantage of being casteless and religionless fighters in India for the egalitarian society or a new society. Otherwise, orphans in India will keep losing hope and aspirations for living. For example, during COVID-19, state and central government greatly announced special welfare schemes for orphans and others. The recent figure shows that 186,000 children lost parents, but only 3,481 could avail the prospects. When 6,70,000 persons were affected with the COVID-19 in Telangana state, the state is yet to find eligible orphan children. Above all, the state and central government clearly stated that they don't have information on how to help and find the most eligible orphan children. This is where the present research highlights the importance of categorical understanding of orphan children in providing hope and aspirations for their own. I pray that the Indian government will not spare any further negligence for orphans and their rightful entitlements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Munna. It's been like a very eye-opening talk for most of us, because generally when we talk about exclusion, instantly we only think of caste or gender or race and these things, and orphan rights hardly come in the first instance to mind for a general audience. And the way you have presented and taking us through the definition of an orphan from there onwards through the current entitlements that they have and how the government is being actually reluctant to enforce these rights and to reach out, that has been very eye-opening to me. So I'll open the floor now for questions. If anyone in the audience has any questions, you can either leave them in the chat box or you can directly ask the speaker. You can also unmute yourself. So before our audience think of their questions, I have few questions of my own. So first thing I want to know is that as an orphan rights activist, especially in Telangana, I'm assuming mostly in Telangana, but you're also born in Kurnool. I mean, you've been raised in Kurnool, Andhra, right? So what were the challenges as such when you grow up, like in terms of the entitlements? What did you think were missing in compared to a non-orphan child?
See, when a boy found in any field, no matter what kind of situation the child may be. But in my orphanage, we wanted to get SC reservation certificate. We approached Mandal officer, okay, MAO. So that person was like, he was truly discriminating the orphanage head and the children in publicly saying that, why are you asking SC reservation certificate when you don't know their father and their culture, their background? Okay. Now this woman who has studied a 7th class, okay, in 1960s around, now she don't know what the present acts are there, rights are there, and children entitlements are there. Now she can't answer, she can't properly ask MRO, but instead what she did, you can test their blood and give a caste. If you are that adamant to give some benefit for a children who are not aware of their background, and being I found them, and I am also not an investigator, not an expert, not an authority to go find. Now, how can this woman is answerable for the child background? Now, being an educated official person, asking them to get a whatever certificate it is, but whatever is also where, what is that? That's a question mark. Then we had to sit in front of MRO office, and then the media personals came and they argued behalf of us, and then finally we got SC reservation certificate. And she is not that much interest to get SC certificate. Since she is a mother for all the kids, since she is an unmarried old lady, she wanted to share her identity to the children whom she is growing. It's not that her intention to bring everybody and make them into Dalit fold. That's not her idea. But the problem is how the society is not able to understand, how the experts are not able to understand. And these are the people who are going and sitting there as a policymakers, right? And we have been fighting with the district collector to give death certificate of father, mother, okay? Because when we mention, like, all our certificates will be on my mother who is raising, okay? Father name will be her name, mother name will be her name, guardian name will be her name. Now, when we go to any school, any bank, any official purpose, are you trying to fool us? They'll, after seeing that certificate, they'll just say, are you trying to fool us? and this is fraud certificate mentioning the same name. Okay, if that names are false, is there any a right to access? Is there any constitutional right to access the name of the parents or name of the custodian? There is nothing. And the caste we have discussed, and nationality. Once for a fifth class, like first class registration, you need to have at least a bank account, Aadhaar card, and residency certificate. Since they are in orphanage, since people are sympathetic towards the children, they may register by assuming that some Elaya Pulaya they'll write and they'll finish that 1 to 5th class. The same Elaya Pulaya will be carried out even if they come to higher education or for job. Those characters are not exist anymore. So the parents' name and the caste, the whatever identity is from the childhood. So it all creates a problem one after another for our orphan rights, and their entitlements will be like slowly cutting down from beginning to whatever age they grow, and they'll end up as a some in some mechanic shops, in hotels, because they have to survive after 18 years of their institutional care. They have to go out and survive somehow. That's what their ultimate idea. They want to get a food and shelter. They don't have any other dreams. But the dream has to be created. The entitlements have to be created by us or the government. That is not being happening. Why I choose this topic? Because I was looking a person who is studying on orphan children for a long time in university. There was a one girl from Odisha. She studied on orphan children, but not the idea what I got. It's all about the basic needs. Are you getting, proper stay, hygienic food, clothes, nice education? But beyond that, orphans doesn't need these to be studied. Their main problem is their main entitlements problem is they need where they belongs to, right? A person need who don't have support. The support is to be given to people who are not having support, and instead the orphan children are gravely neglected by Indian government, or even for that matter researchers also so far. That's why I wanted to do this.
Uh, does anyone in the audience want to ask any question? Please feel free. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to ask you actually about the access itself. Like you were just mentioning that the dream of an orphan just becomes to survive. Survival becomes the first thing after you step out of the institutional care. So then, but what about the access to education? So because everything now we know, this meritocratic society makes it a point that only when you attain a certain level of merit can you actually access the best of the higher education institutions or even moderate education institutions. But for that, the foundation lies with the primary education. So in general, in your experience from what you have seen, where do the orphan children study? Do orphanages only provide education or do they access the nearby government institutional education? How does it work?
Yeah, thanks for asking this question. I happened to visit one orphanage in my field work in orphanage in Kurnool district. So orphanages are established on the basis of
Your audio is stuck. Um, I think we missed the speaker. Please hold on for a while. I'm just trying to connect with him. I request you all to just hold on for a while. There's an internet connectivity issue and he's trying to rejoin. Yeah.
Great. Long time. It's been a long time since I've attended one of these sessions. And again, great as ever. And obviously, some of these issues I think need to. I mean, we don't even think about some of this. I think maybe a my privilege status or whatever. But yeah. So yeah, we were just recently having those recent the PhD admissions here. At Delhi, and I'm thinking that the most sort of maybe underprivileged people who attended this PhD admissions were actually quite privileged in the sense that all their documents were sort of in place and stuff like that. I guess some of these exclusions and really, I mean, I think these meritocratic institutions have thought through some of these issues. Yeah. So thanks so much. It's great to see that you, I mean, Radio Sophia again doing all this. Thank you. Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Vivek. Munna is here.
Okay.
Joined us. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No. Munna, are you here? Just a second. Yeah. Munna, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Yes.
So lost my internet,
No.
university internet. So this is my mobile. So I'll
Okay,
keep
yes.
my
Video
video
off.
off.
It's fine. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were answering about my question on education, access to education, and how does it affect. So if you want to take it from there, yeah.
So there is one orphanage which is run by a scheduled caste person, which is supported by church ministry, and they are doing well, but they are bringing children from railway stations, many other places nearby Kurnool district. And I happened to visit another orphanage which is run by OBC person. Don't take me wrong for taking management caste identity, because I have to study how they are dealing the other orphan children also. That's why I'm mentioning. But this man, he owns a big land, which is like grabbed land, right? So this land, he wanted to save it on the name of service. So he established one orphanage there and then one temple, and he owns that land. Now, in the name of service, he owns the land. At the same time, he also established one small cottage industry. So children who are joining there, he do a caste practice. Like the children who are scheduled caste, he send them to government school. Children who are OBC caste, he sends them to little floor English medium school. Now there itself I had so much of patience for just I have to collect my data and leave that place. That was my duty. Then I found that there is no girl at all. Okay. Then I said, why there is no girl here? And he said, no, I don't want to take care of girls. So why, sir? What is the problem? Then he said, no, their maturity age we cannot handle. And this orphanage has a temple, and the orphanage is also has a connection to my home. And this will become impurity, right? Sorry for my language, but you understand. So then immediately I really got angry and I called ICDS because I have orphanage too, right? So immediately I called ICDS madam who was close to me, and she was encouraging me for studies even. Then I said, ma'am, this is really a bullshit. This should not be encouraged, and you should shut down and immediately hand over all the children, because the children who are finishing after 10th, they are forced to work in that cottage industry. Those are all scheduled castes. And the higher education, who are pursuing higher education, are the OBC community. That's his own politics he is doing. It's not that the society has forced him to do. That man had his own intentions to do all this. Then I took it serious. I wrote a letter, and the ICDS forced him to take girls also. Now, after all this, he gave a statement that if you force me, I will rather shut down the orphanage, but I will not allow any woman to be here. Right? Then I hope they have closed it down. And again, he was trying for renewals. So that's a story that how orphanages operates that their own caste, networks. And there is a beside another Balija orphanage. These are all not called orphanages. Balija shelter home, Kapu, Kapu, some Nilayam something, Reddy's, degree students shelter home. In Hyderabad, we have Reddy, Kapu, Kamma. Okay. On these caste lines, they have their own shelter homes. Okay. Now, what are the major orphanages where all these children come? Because these are all not again orphans. They are different category of children. They are child laborers, they are missing children, they are abducted children, drug addicted children, okay, semi orphans, and there are intercaste marriage children who are not cared. And in modern era, there are parents, but children are growing mentally, psychologically weak. These kind of all children are coming there, right? And they all are unified and understood on the single aspect that they need care and protection. My point is, when a child, when the institutions find any child, where does this child belongs to, you have to find out and fix him. Okay. For education, right to education till 14 years, you have a right to education, compulsory education, right? Now their institution are forced to provide, otherwise institution may do illegalities there also, making them as a child labor and making them as a working children. Now that possibility is taken out. Now coming to compulsory shelter, 18 years. Now, since they want to run an institution, so they still providing till age of 18 years. Then can anyone guess? Okay, 14 years education is provided, 18 years shelter is provided. A child who don't have anyone, okay, even if there are not cared, okay, where this boy and girl will go after the institutional care? Now government don't have any authority, any what is that, thought to give next life. That's what orphans lives are not limited to a child. It is beyond child even. It is beyond having parents even. that's why this categorical understanding of study is very important. That's why I'm doing this research.
Thank you,
And
Munna.
coming to higher education, I missed one point.
Yeah.
So coming to higher education, you will see like you can count researchers, orphan researchers on your fingers. Okay. In South India, so far I could find in TIS there is two persons who are studying. In Hyderabad there is two persons studying. Okay. In IIT there is a one. In Pondicherry there is a one. Okay. On this orphans rights and being an orphan who are doing PhD. Okay. So that means when we see the percentage of orphan population in India, some are saying 4%, some are saying 29 millions, 30 millions. Okay. But where these all children are going, right? It is because there is no proper rightful entitlements are given to these orphans after 18 years. That's why they are just settling down to survive their own themselves somewhere as a daily wage workers or spoiling their careers also. Huh? It is hard to see people coming to higher education. And after coming here, if you have some sort of reservation certificate, let's say or ST or ST or OBC, okay, whatever. But instead of that, if there is an orphan reservation, example, Maharashtra has given 1% reservation. Okay. And there is a recent Supreme Court judgment that the orphans has to be counted into the OBC quota. Now, even OBC quota, how many MROs are able to provide the certificate? If any a Brahmin or any OBC or ST, SC orphanages getting any children who don't have any identity, rather mentioning them in OBC, they will give their own identity. Why can't we think that the NGOs doesn't have any politics on children? They have their own. Now, who are the losers? Who are mistreated are the children. If the society or the government thinks on this line that there is one community which is possible for creating a casteless and religionless society, and there is a possibility of bringing a special separate law for the children and the better future of eradicating all this caste and religion. Yeah.
Thank you. And actually, somewhere from what you were saying just before you rejoined, Professor Vivek was also talking. He's currently teaching at IIT Delhi, and he was a PhD student at IIM Calcutta. And he was informing how during this IIT Delhi admission process that they see the nature of the candidates, the profiles of the candidates are very, very privileged from privileged backgrounds, and you hardly get to see anybody from, let's say an orphan, for instance. Vivek, if you would like to add something to that.
Yeah, so thanks, Munna. This was very, very informative. I'm just trying to understand. So maybe do IITs, IIMs have some flexibility in terms of letting go some of these requirements, or if for instance, if I see somebody like this, or if but there are some some kind of documentation that is missing or something like that. Who do I go to, or
Yeah.
it's probably a very simple question, but yeah, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Munna. You can answer. Yeah.
I couldn't understand. Can you please
okay.
recall that?
In the sense that if we find out, okay, I'll try to rephrase. You have raised important points that I have not thought through before about document
Vivek, actually, sorry to disturb you. Your voice is
It's
breaking.
breaking. Yeah.
I think I will convey the question. I got your point. So basically, Munna, what Vivek was saying is generally now during the admission process, suppose a student comes to the process where they do not have proper documentation, an orphan comes and there is some issue, some problem regarding that. Who is it that we should go to? In that cases, is there a specific authority or a structure or a government body where you can actually, who deals with the documentation of orphans or otherwise? I think that was
First of all, whenever any such kind of candidates appear there, they will simply reject because the process, the people waiting there for next one to reach there. So they will not see all this, personal problems. They'll call it personal problems. Now, if that person still stays there till the evening because you don't want to lose this seat and the great institutions, whatever, then if at all the person still there and that person has to go to control of examiner. If that university has accessible for these kind of issues to deal, let's say Maharashtra had 1%, Maharashtra is having, there is a Bangalore University has announced 1% reservation. Odisha government has announced 1% reservation. Jharkhand government has announced 1% reservation. Now, it is not applicable to the central universities. If the state is announcing, not applicable to central university. If that person is appearing to central university, then central university doesn't have this kind of facility. If it is a state in Maharashtra, then he can go to control of examiner and talk. He can deal it. The document issues, yes, the document issues are very problematic. It's because of the institutions and there is no proper awareness and the constitutional rights for the orphans. Okay, both the side. I'm blaming the institution, at the same time Indian government, for not having the proper rights of the orphan.
got it. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question. I mean, particularly if they are, autonomous bodies or, something like IITs, etc., are, I thought, reasonably autonomous. And we have like a dean of inclusion and diversity and things like that. Do they have some power to overrule some of these requirements or something like that?
No, sir.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vivek. So we are almost reaching the time limit, but in case if anyone has anything to say, a question or a comment or your observation, you're very welcome. We can hold on.
I want any interesting observations, please.
Yeah. Actually, recently I have myself visited an orphanage in my town. That was the first time. I mean, I heard of it as an NGO. Like you said, I never knew it was an orphanage. I only knew it as an NGO. So I didn't think there was a hostel where students were residing. But when I came to know that, especially there are girls hostels also, boys hostels also, but I happened to visit girls hostel, and then I interacted with the children, and the person who was actually organizing this or taking care of children, he told me there are a lot of people who will come and give funds, money. That is not the issue, but there is nobody to give these children any guidance related to education or anything, any career opportunities, etc., or even for that matter tending to them with love and care. This is also an important aspect, and because in US, etc., we see this foster care system, and I don't know how well that works, but it tries to give individualized care to the children, right? So then when I went and interacted, the children seemed very good, but then again the same problem I had. After a point, how much is it that an individual can do in terms of guidance and care? But I felt if it's more institutional, then it's a there can be a continued effort, but that seems to be absent. Is it the same in your observation also, or do you think actually even some individuals can make a lot of difference in terms of these non-monetary aspects of care for orphans?
Yeah, see, being volunteering to an orphanage and working on orphan children issues, I don't take the credit that what I'm doing. The thing is, it has to be institutionally accepted rights to should be found. You know why? Because I may visit some orphanages, but not all the orphanages are thinking on similar lines, are providing similar facilities. Okay, I can say the institutions, whatever their efforts they are putting for the kids, I am no one to judge since they don't have any other options to go. Okay, but if there is a scope for orphans to define who is orphan, okay, who is semi-orphan, who is helpless children, okay, who is neglected children, if these kind of categorical understanding are constitutionally framed, and then the institutions will have what kind of facilities and the welfare facilities they can avail after their institutional care. Okay, since that is not there, even institutions are ended up giving just a minimal education till intermediate and skillful jobs and vocational training courses, and so that they can get settled somewhere and have their own family, get married. Their lives are shortened because of no understanding of the categorical constitutional categorical perspective, right? One cannot do, that's what I'm saying. It should be a government responsibility. You cannot be a parent to all the children, I cannot be parent to all the children, but government can be parent to all the children when we have the existing system of giving reservation, giving welfare policies. Why can't orphan can avail the same? They are the rightful persons to avail all these facilities, but why it got neglected? Because it is because of caste. They comes under casteless, they comes under religionless. To decide some children's caste, it is none of the India and the officers are feeling that it is none of their business. If since they are not filling that gap, they are not capable to fill that gap, they are just leaving it. Neglecting is the best option for them. That's how the children are neglected. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Munna. Actually, so many aspects we have covered in this 1 hour, beginning from the rights to even understanding. Actually, I think this is another very interesting aspect that we talked about, caste and religion, being casteless and how it actually affects their access to a lot of things. Okay, there's a question, I guess, or a comment. So, Munna, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Hi. Are you talking? Because we can't hear you. I see that.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi, ma'am. My name is Munna. I am a brother of Munna. So nice to have like these sessions. So my question is, why Indian government not much focusing on orphans? Still, they have been continuously neglecting to take care of orphans. So I'm asking the question that give some suggestion how the government has to take care of the orphans for their better life, like food, hospitality, and education.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you. Munna, if you want to answer the question.
Kranti,
Yeah.
I got a call,
Okay.
so I missed the question. Can you please
It's okay.
repeat
No,
that?
he's asking, can you suggest some tips or what the government actually should do regarding
Yeah.
education, health? Yeah, so these are the, I think, two aspects that I remember from the question. What is it that the government should actually do? Because they're generally not taking care. How should they focus on these aspects?
See, I really feel sad that the Indian government is not able to understand the orphan definition itself. So I cannot go beyond it, since that institutional care is up now, that is going on. Um, See, after many studies I've done, and they found that the institutional care is not good method. The the so-called developed countries and all, they are not having any orphanages anymore. So the institutional setup basically the spoiling the lives of orphan children. So they adopted so many methods based on their own, regional setups. Now when you go to Norway, uh, uh, parents who don't have, the couple who don't have children, they can access, a child who is paid by the government. So there'll be applications, even having children also, since the government is paying money for a child to grow in any family. There are so much of interest from the citizens to get this kind of facility. If you go to France, the France is providing, until that person is settled as a statesman, as a, you know whatever studies you want to acquire, the state is helping. And whatever job you want in this, state, you have to get that eligibility and get that job. There is a clear cut support from the state in France. And the third world countries, they are still not able to understand this adoption process. See, in India, why I'm saying adoption process is, very like unimaginable problems they are facing. The kids are brought to family, and the family, we have this network, no, celebrations, family get-togethers, and the children are excluded many times by the relatives. Recently, I went to, in Hyderabad, one family adopted a Bihari boy from orphanage and adoption agency, Kara. Now that boy, he has been becoming very rough the day by day, because since he don't understand that his past, whatever, he don't know anything. Since the relatives, the upper portion and down portion, there are relatives, they always treat him as a, what is that, a beggar boy or orphan boy. So that created him to a psychological disturbance. Now this boy is having good school, good facilities, but psychologically is not developing. Except that woman who adopted, no one likes him. Now that boy, I am also feared because after talking to him so much time, then I understood the facilities whatever the adoption is giving, because they have opted a boy from their own community. They have opted a boy from who can be a same color. These choices, okay, these choices is having only India. It is only Indian problem. It is not orphan child problem or the parents problem. See, adoption should be anyone who don't have, children. So this criteria of what category children you want to adopt, okay, how much money you have, and what kind of a caste background you need, okay, what kind of color you want. So these categories basically spoiling this adoption process. So when it comes to Indian orphan, what is that, institutional care, I don't think institution needs to survive, since the adoptions are going. The state and central government has enough pending applications. These all orphan children needs to be submitted to parents or give for adoption, then give their rightful entitlements also, so that the family can also get benefited and the children also will have hope for their lives. So hope so, Manna, you got it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, he showed a hands up, thumbs up. He's
Mm.
happy with the answer. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think there are any more questions. So thank you very much, Munna, for all your time. And it's a great PhD work, and we all hope, wish you all the very best for coming up with more publications and also spreading awareness. I think as a scholar, that's one thing that you're anyway doing, but as an activist, what you're doing is so commendable. Running your own orphanage and also spreading awareness for others about the rights. I think that's one thing we've learned from being in University of Hyderabad, that awareness about our own rights and awareness about others' rights is the most fundamental thing, the first step for any change. And you are in that direction. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be a part of Radio Sophia today. Hello.